Is Belal Muhammad finally in his respect era? Let's discuss. What's up, everybody? Laura Sanko here. As always, I am joined with my BFF, Dean Thomas. We're going to talk some UFC 315, Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. That is such a fun name to say for the welterweight title. I don't always like chit-chatting off the top, Dean, but I would be remiss if I didn't give you a little round of applause for Miss Jillian Robertson. That was fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's timing is everything. Timing for fighters is everything. And being ready when your timing comes is what it's about. And she does what it takes in order to be ready for her timing. So we're in the middle of it now. We're going to see how long this thing can last, and we're going to ride this thing out
Killing it.
and try to see if we can't get a belt at the end of it. That's really what this is that you ride it out and see if you can come up with a belt. So like that's
I
the
love
goal
it.
right now.
Well, you've done a great job with her, and obviously she just looks tremendous. So I had to say that. Uh, Speaking of things I had to say, where are we this week? This is an interesting, like 1800, early 1900s birdcage lamppost that you're posted up next to.
Actually, I put that next to me so I didn't
Oh,
just
you
have a
staged
white
that. You
wall.
did that
I
intentionally?
kind of, well, it honestly, I moved it over 12 inches because it was 12 inches over this way when you
Uh-huh.
couldn't see it. And I just had this white door next to me. I said, I need a little color on this side because I got stuff on this side, nothing on this side.
Contrast.
Yeah, some contrast. So shout out to my people, Matt and Kelsey Klein out in Blandon, Pennsylvania. That's where I'm at right now, just outside of Reading. So if y'all want to see me, y'all got beef with me. I'm outside of Reading right now. Come see me, and we'll get it. We'll get some words in.
You can get that work in
Yeah,
Reading,
get that.
Pennsylvania.
Listen, you want that smoke? I'm not hard to find. I'll be in Philly tomorrow. I'm not hard to find.
I love it. I love it. Okay, let's talk about these fights, Dean. UFC 315 going down in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Uh, Listen, this is not necessarily the fight I was expecting, but as I am studying it, as often happens, it's becoming more and more intriguing to me. Were you surprised by the matchup between Bilal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm actually applauding the matchup because I think that especially where we are in combat sports in general, we
Hmm.
need to start rewarding the dogs. We got to
Okay, did,
reward them.
did you watch boxing this weekend? Is that what
My
happened?
point exactly. So Tim Bradley had this rant. I don't know if you saw this rant. I don't even know
Oh,
what platform it was on. Somebody sent it to me. John Marquez sent this to me, and he's ranting about Tim Bradley's ranting about how there's just no love. It's just everybody's just doing this. Like these guys are getting paid so much money, and they just going out there and sparring and just not really. They're not fighting, and that's not just in boxing. It's in MMA too. It's a little different in MMA. In fact, like in MMA, they're not even fighting. They're not even going out and sparring. They're not fighting each other for the most part.
hmm.
So when you got a guy like Bilal Muhammad, who is a complete savage, willing to fight anybody, wants to prove that he's the best, and then Jack Della Maddalena, I'm getting this right? Is it
You can
JDM?
just say JDM from here on
Yeah.
out. We said it a few
So
times.
yeah,
We're
so
good.
Jack JDM, we know what he's made of. We know what these guys are made of. We have to now start rewarding these guys with opportunities. When you are willing to put it out there, we got to reward you for your heart and your courage and your passion. And I'm 100% okay with this fight. I don't care about all the nonsense. Oh, well, this guy, he's got. Listen, Jack was willing to step up. He was going to fight Leon. That didn't work out. He took this fight. I am completely not just okay with it. I'm happy with this fight.
And not only that, I think they are rewarding his style. It's not just rewarding the fact that he is a dog in the sense of like, yeah, I'll take any fight anytime. That attitude carries in the way that he fights too. He's a guy who is looking for the finish all the time in a fight. Strategically, he's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
caught
no doubt. He's a
once in a
puncher.
while, but
He's a puncher.
yeah.
He's a puncher. He's a combination puncher. And when he lets them hands go, when he's punching in combination, he's got a wide variety of targets that he hits, body, head, and watching him today, I did some research. I knew he was coming on the show. So let me just go do my Jack research. He switches stances well. He boxes well from both sides. I really like the skill set that Jack brings to the table. I really do.
Yeah, he's 7-0 in the UFC. 17 fight win streak overall, which is, I love the story of that win streak because it comes on the heels of starting out his pro career 0-2. And I remember doing my research before Contender Series, and I get a name. I don't know anything about this name, and then I immediately go to Tapology and start learning about this person. Uh, I thought that one piece of information was really interesting to see him, and not only lose, but lose badly, and then come back and just go on this absolute rip of finishes and knockouts on what I consider to be one of the premier regional circuits down there in Western Australia, Eternal MMA and the other promotions. He fought for Cage Warriors as well. I mean, excellent, top tier. So you know that by the time he got to Contender Series, not only did he pass the eye test compared to the people he was fighting, he passed the eye test against really, really good guys, is my point. You can sometimes pass the eye test against some shaky, shaky opponents on the regional scene and look really good. But he was doing it against guys that were also really, really good. And I was just super impressed with him and have been since. That being said, this is a tough matchup for him.
Well,
I
here
guess,
I
go
have
ahead.
some things on that. Okay, so
Okay,
we
go ahead.
talk about and I'm sometimes I'm hard on fighters, right? I go back and forth with Tate, Cutman Tate, because I'm always like, yo, that guy's not a fighter. Come on, Dean, he's a fighter. And when I say fighter, I don't mean willing to put gloves on and go out and fight. I'm talking about a fighter's fighter. When I refer to fighter, because they're all fighters, but when I refer to a fighter as a fighter, I'm talking about a guy who I can trust to rally
Mm,
when they need to rally. And when you look at some of the performances that JDM has had in the UFC,
yeah,
he's had to rally.
yeah.
He didn't have easy fights. Even when he fought Basil
Russell
Hafez,
Hafez, yeah.
that wasn't an easy fight for him. It was supposed to be an easy fight for him. And sometimes when these fighters, when you are like a minus 600 to win and you're in a tough fight, that plays with your head. But that didn't affect him. He was still trying to rally in a tough fight that he might not have won. It was a split decision. He might not even have won that fight. But he didn't complain. He said, you know what? I got work to do. Then he fights Gilbert Burns, and he's losing the fight.
Hmm.
For the most part, he's having bad moments in the fight, but he's still pressing forward, trying to rally to win. That's a fighter to me.
Yeah.
That is what the essence of a fighter is to me. And I applaud that. I commend that, and he should be rewarded for that. Now, you talk about this matchup. It is a tough one for him. But if anybody can do it, it's someone like that who we know, who we can trust, that can rally when they need to, not just come up with, one shot hitter, one hitter quitter. But we're talking
Yeah.
about somebody who can rally back if they need to rally back.
And in all likelihood, that is a strong possibility in this fight because he's facing a guy in Belal Muhammad who will not go away easily and who has the type of fighting style where you almost have to train knowing that it is going to be a long, difficult, grindy, exhausting type of fight. No matter where it takes place, it's going to be a tough fight if you're fighting Belal Muhammad. And it's funny. I doing my research, it's always interesting to see perspectives shift, my own included, right? But the perspective of the entire fan base, perspective of analysts, of all the talking heads, whoever. It's crazy to me how and granted there's still a chunk of people that just refuse to be fans of Bilal Muhammad for whatever stupid reason. I don't agree with it, but it's pretty incredible to see where he was when, the Leon eye poke situation happened. It was an eye poke, right?
Yeah, it was an
Yeah,
eye
yeah.
poke.
And then to him beating Leon Edwards in the most dominant possible fashion, not just in the wrestling, also beating him on the feet in part, and having that belt around his waist. I cannot imagine how gratifying that is to be Bilal Muhammad in that situation and just shut everybody up.
Well, in his own way, that's the same rally that I'm talking about. It wasn't
I
a
know.
one night rally. It was a career rally.
Yeah.
And Belal Muhammad possesses that. And that's exactly the essence of what I'm talking about when I say a fighter. Like these guys, they wake up, they think it's on their mind, not just to go out there and be famous or get the paycheck, but the passion to engage in this human chess.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and at all
Test.
costs too.
The
At
test.
all costs. Yeah,
Yes.
at all costs. Not just, I'm trying to be safe, but
Hmm.
I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'll take some punishment to get what I gotta get. And both of these guys possess that ability, and I love it.
So one thing that strikes me, and it's, not rocket science, just the difference between their rise to this moment could not be more different. And I wonder how much that will be a factor in this fight because on one hand you've got Bilal who honestly deserved a title shot many many fights before he actually got one. His style that we see now was forged by time and adversity, right? A long time, a lot of adversity. And on Jack Della's side, I don't think he's not a guy who's necessarily been, clamoring for this opportunity. He hasn't been yelling, "Hey, I deserve this title shot." But it was given to him. He deserves it and he's going to take it. But the fact is it is coming much much faster than it did for Bilal Muhammad. Do you feel like Jack is aged enough in the UFC, in that highest level, to be able to compete with someone who has spent time clawing their way to the top, like
Yeah, and
Bilal?
that's a scary proposition, and that's a piece of the puzzle that we don't factor in that really does have a huge factor in it because it dictates um it dictates objective
Hmm.
in terms of what their objectives are. For Jack Della Maddalena, his objective going into this year was probably initially, all right, I'm going to beat Leon. I am going to maybe get another fight. I'm going to work on some things, and then hopefully get a title shot by the end of next year. Like that
Yeah.
was like his objectives going into the year. Now all of a sudden that changes, and now he has to kind of crash course into being a world champion. And it doesn't always favor you, especially when you're not seen as like really well rounded. And when you look at his style, like there's a lot of holes in
Hmm.
his game. And he had to crash course fill in some of them holes, I think. We've seen him working with Craig Jones. If
Yeah.
you're going to do it, if you're going to do it, you need a psycho like Craig Jones in your corner, right? Somebody who can give you some shortcuts and some cheat codes on how to beat some things because there's some areas that he's never going to catch up with Bilal on. Like if they're wrestling on the fence and Bilal's in on a deep shot, he's never going to catch up. But there may be a few cheat codes that he can learn from Craig Jones. And I think that seeing him working with Craig Jones has changed my perspective of what I think could happen in this fight.
I mean, it's a huge move, and I know that Craig is going to be not only, I mean, it's not only someone he's been working with, but he's actually going to be in his corner for the fight. So he's clearly been like a linchpin of that entire camp, the game plan, the work that has been put in. I did you see the video of him submitting Craig?
Yeah, so I spoke to JDM earlier this
Yeah.
actually last week, and I asked him about that, and he said he's going to leave it up to the imagination
Real or not real?
as
Ah!
as to whether it was real or not.
Well, just so you know, I was asked about this very thing on Submission Radio, and I said I would also like to accidentally sub Craig Jones. And I put it out there into the universe. And guess who DM'd me literally right before we filmed this?
Craig Jones.
I might be the Adam Weight Gabby Garcia. I'm just saying. I feel, you know, I think there could be a match.
It could be a match, but it's Laura. You have some privilege that I couldn't like. I could say that same thing, and Craig would never respond to me. He'd be like, "Man, get out of here."
You don't know. You don't know.
I'm
You
like, "Yo, I wish I could sub Craig Jones." And that would just go whew, go
He's
on
like,
with the
yeah, come
wind. You
on,
know what I'm
let's
saying?
go.
That comment is blowing in the wind. You say it, these dudes is up in the DMs like, yo, what's
Oh,
up?
legit. I would love to train with him. Legit. He's like yeah. We're digressing, but I'm an absolutely massive Craig Jones fan. So in every respect. So I hope that happens. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. And actually, let me because I'm so bad about doing this. Let me talk through some stats, read through some stats, and then let's discuss a little bit of strategy that we feel like either of these guys could benefit from using. All right, we've got Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. Belal is 15-3 and 1 no contest in the UFC. Jack Della Maddalena 7-0 in the UFC. They are both 5'11", 72-inch reach for Belal, 73 for Jack Della, so really close there. Orthodox for Belal, switch stance for JDM. 36 years old for Belal, JDM is 28. That might be an interesting talking point that we can talk about. The knockdown average, okay? Bilal's knockdown average is 0, and JDM's is 1.6 every 15 minutes. That is very high, ladies and gentlemen. Striking accuracy for Belal, 43.7%, 55.2% for JDM. UFC average is 42, so 55.2 is absolutely sensational. Strikes landed per minute for Belal, 4.39 to 6.62 for JDM, which is crazy high, especially for the higher weight classes like a welterweight. Defense for Belal, 57.1, which is pretty dang good, and 66.7 for JDM, which is wildly good. Takedown defense for Belal, not that he's going to need it, 89.4% and 69.4 for JDM. If you go down a little ways in this handy dandy spreadsheet I have, you guys are going to see it on the screen. Belal has 0 knockdowns in the UFC and has been knocked down 6 times. Flip the script, JDM has 6 knockdowns and has never been knocked down in the UFC. You dig a little bit further into some of these stats, you can definitely see the percentage of time that JDM goes to the body. That's one thing that jumps off the page when you watch him strike, the body shots. 25% to almost 26% of the strikes that JDM throws are to the body, just 14.3 for Belal. I'm kind of cherry picking here, just the ones that kind of pop out as being very interested. 43 career takedowns landed for Belal Muhammad and 1 for Jack Della. So now, all of that being said, those stats, especially the striking stats, look fantastic for Jack Della Maddalena. You do have to take them in the context of who he has fought to get those stats. It has not been the same caliber of guys that Belal Muhammad has fought, but they are very impressive nonetheless, Dean.
Well, okay, you say that, right? It's not at the same caliber, but do we if we could have stats on his fight against Gilbert Burns, Jack, his fight against Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
I think he did some numbers in that fight. Even though he spent a lot of time getting taken down and in some scrambles, I think he did some numbers in that fight. So while it may not be indicative of the whole grand scheme of his opponents, the highest level opponent that he did fight, he did some pretty good work.
He did some great work. And I
Yeah.
think the thing that sticks out to me of that fight is the damaging work that he did. Every
Yeah.
time he had an opportunity to punch, he was really lighting Gilbert up. That being said, he got taken down and he got controlled quite a bit. And
Yeah.
do you not feel like that's going to happen again?
That's the problem, is that Jack doesn't have the best hips.
Hmm.
He just doesn't have the great. He's a decent athlete, and he's been able to pick it up because it's part of the job. Like no one is allowed to get taken down super easy. But in relation to the level that he's fighting at in the UFC, he gets taken down pretty easy. Now, that's all in relation to the level of competition, because he just doesn't have the hips. And when you look at these guys getting in on shots, you know, Basil took him down pretty easily.
Yeah.
When he did take him down, like within the first 10 seconds,
Yeah.
Gilbert Burns was able to get him down. Now Bilal is not just a regular takedown guy. He's one of the better takedown guys in the division because he gets in better on shots because he mixes it up better. So that's going to be a problem if he allows Bilal to get in on shots really deep and get around his hips, because Jack just doesn't have the best hips for this. So using a jiu-jitsu guy was the best thing that he could do, Because if he went to a wrestling guy and a wrestling guy was like, well, yeah, you got to, do this with your hips and do that, like he's still going to get taken down. He won't be able to catch up. But
Yeah.
having a jujitsu guy finesse and maneuver in ways in which maybe he might be able to create some different angles and some different unorthodox approaches to the shots is to me the best answer for dealing with a guy like Bilal.
And I will say too that when I watch JDM anti-wrestle, one thing he does really well is not settle. His
Yeah,
scrambles and his
yeah,
get-up ability are very good.
yeah,
He's not, although he was taken down and controlled for some periods of time in both of those fights that we referenced, the ones that stick out. Although that is true, there's also, you can see a really high level ability of getting up as well. Getting up and getting out. Well, I mean, just look at the finish against Gilbert Burns. That's a perfect example, right? Gilbert had one moment of being a little bit lazy with the position that he had gotten, and JDM flipped the script, got out, got up, need him, fight over, you know?
yeah.
And
He's
that's
opportunistic.
very opportunistic, very, very opportunistic. And working with Craig Jones is only going to make him more so. I feel like, although I do, if I'm normally I don't speak this frankly on these shows, but I'll just put it out there. I do favor Bilal in this fight, but I think that one interesting aspect is that Bilal has to work through Jack Della Maddalena's best range to get to his best range. And I think it's a really interesting point. And Jack is such an incredible, incredible boxer. The footwork, the pivots, the angles, the defense. Like, I will not at all be shocked if he is able to crack Bilal when Bilal is trying to close the distance and either clinch up or shoot for a takedown. That's how good, that's how dangerous it's going to be for Bilal to go from striking on the outside to putting hands on JD. And he has to do that in order to get his game going.
Well, I want to try to make a comparison between this fight between Bilal and Jack and the fight that Bilal had with Leon Edwards the second time.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that stood out to me with the way Bilal approached that fight with Leon is how close he fought him. He didn't fight him on the outside and then finessed his way into a shot.
Mm-hmm.
He was in his face the entire fight. And he was able to do that to a guy like Leon because he knows that Leon doesn't have
Not
that type of
comfortable
work
there.
rate. Yeah, he doesn't
Yep.
have that type of work rate. And he put that type of pressure on Leon and pushed Leon back and kind of, it folded him a little bit, right? So like that was what folded Leon. He won't be able to do that to Jack. He won't be able to get in his face and stay there for as long as he did with Leon. So he's going to have to find some different approaches. And when I look at the type of preparation that Bilal might have for this, he has good guys to work with that can give him those looks. I mean, he trains with some of the best strikers in the lightweight division. Now, obviously, like, Bahamondes and these
Yeah.
guys, like they're just fantastic strikers. They should be able to give him some looks in preparation to what it might be like to go, all right, dude, you can't just stand in my face like you do. Because Leon he wasn't meeting you in the middle and crashing back into you. And Jack's gonna do that. Like
Yes.
he's not gonna just run from you. Or just back up. He's gonna crash right back into you.
And he'll take a big shot to make you eat three.
Yeah.
And he will go to the body and he will mix up his targets and he will crack off a 4 and 5 punch combination right in your face before you've even figured out how to respond to the first one.
Yeah, yeah. And those are some of the things that I think Bilal has to recognize. He had to have recognized that in preparation. Like that's something you don't discover on fight day. Like, oh, wait a minute, this is different. Like it can't be something that's different for you on fight
Yeah.
day. You have to have discovered that and prepared for that in training and go, hey man, listen, this is not the guy that you're just going to get in his chest and push him back
Hmm.
because he's not having that. Like this guy, like he's not running from you. He's not trying to create an angle like that. He's gonna punch you. So it'll be interesting to see how Bilal approaches that. But I'm with you. I'm 100% with you on this. I do still think that stylistically, it's still a nightmarish matchup for a guy like Jack, and I don't know if he's had enough time to prepare. And when I say time, it's not like if he had an extra 2 months. I'm talking about time in
Years
terms
into
of
this.
like his
Yeah.
career. Like
Yes.
you need more
And
sometimes.
that really is the thing. That to me is like that's the whole point. Because he's got a skill set and he's got a drive and a passion and a want to go out there and scrap and fight that tells me that if he can get the wrestling piece squared away, he absolutely has what it takes to be a champion. But you can't learn to wrestle in, I don't know. How long do you think it takes to learn to wrestle like Belal Muhammad?
No, so he'll never do that. But
Yeah.
here's what I think. Here's what I think. And I'm gonna give you some free game here. This is free game. And he's working with the best. If he if he can create and if he can learn a good choking system to defend
Mhm.
wrestling, it can help him. If he can just clear his hips and legs enough to start attacking the neck just enough to keep Bilal's hands off of his legs,
Mhm.
that might because he's not going to catch up on the wrestling enough, just straight wrestling. But if he can develop a good choking system, like I would have spent 2 weeks straight in camp just like getting a good choking system
Getting that
down.
ninja choke.
Yeah, ninja choke, guillotine, arm triangles,
Arm
darce situations, like
triangle.
all those different flows into which lead into either a finish or a disconnection. Like they have to lead to either a finish or a disconnection. But it can't lead to I'm jumping guard and I'm going to end up on my back. It can't lead to that.
I was just going to say, because what you're saying, while I agree with you, feels a little dangerous. Because if you give someone the tools to guillotine, or to, yeah, in particular to guillotine, I just see so many guys give up their frontline defense of defending the initial shot because they just have a belief in the guillotine.
Well, they're
I just feel like
short-sighted.
he don't want to get stuck underneath
No,
Bilal.
that's a short-sighted way of looking at it, and it's also um it's not a thorough way of looking at how to deal with a situation. It's putting a band-aid on a bullet wound and thinking that it's healed. And guys will do that. Oh, and then they'll overgeneralize the idea that guillotines don't work. The idea is that you use it and you're so good at it that it will work if they don't address it. But the idea is that you use it just to keep their hands off your legs, that they
To
have to
force them to
address it.
address it. Yeah.
And that's your wrestling, as opposed to going, all right, when they wrestle this way, I got to shift my hips this way, I got to put a whizzer in here, and then I got to circle this way and then block it. No, you find the neck, you threaten the neck, you start choking them. If they don't defend it, they go to sleep. If they do defend it, their hands are off your legs, and then you can disengage in that way. But you need more, and it would take less time to learn a good choking system than it would to learn how to defend wrestling versus wrestling against a guy like Bilal.
Hmm. What do you think Bilal's approach is going to be? I mean, is it the obvious one? Because he keeps saying, I'm going to show my hands and we're just going to strike. Like he keeps saying he's not going to
No,
wrestle.
he's
Do
not
you
going to do
believe
that.
him? I
No,
don't
he's
believe him.
stupid. I don't even know why guys say that anymore.
I don't know either.
I guess
Don't be
they're
so
appealing to
dumb,
new.
Bilal.
Maybe
Don't
no,
be
they're
so
appealing. They're
dumb.
they're appealing to new fans that don't know him.
We like
Now,
it when you wrestle, Bilal. I mean, other people may not, but it would be, yeah, it'd be very short-sighted to go out there and fight to be to please some version of the fan base that is not writing your checks.
Bilal worked too hard to get this title to let it
Yes.
go based on hubris.
Ooh, 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 hubris.
Hubris. I
Hubris.
was reading books today.
Yes, you were.
I read some Shakespeare quotes
Yes,
today.
you did.
No, he's worked too hard to get here, and he's not going to let it go that easy. Jack's going to have to work for it. He's not going to give it to him by going, "Oh yeah, we're going to stand and trade so I can appease the fans." That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think he comes out a little kick heavy, a little farther than punch and range.
Bilal or
Blau
Jack?
has a great left kick.
Uh-huh.
I think he uses that to establish his range. Then I think he uses his shot to get in to a range where it's not boxing range, but at least dirty boxing range
Mhm.
to where then he can start wrestling.
Bilal's wrestling is definitely the question in this fight. It's the key to everything. If How do you envision Jack defending the wrestling? Do you envision him being hard to find? Do you envision him doing what you said a minute ago that you hope that he's been training like a front headlock series? Do you envision him just cracking, trying to crack Bilal with knees and uppercuts to
Like all that is
dissuade him?
necessary. Yeah, so it's
All
not
of
as
the above.
simple. It's yeah,
Yeah.
it's all of the it's not as simple as just all right, he's wrestling, I have to defend the shot, or even what I said about the front headlock series. That's just one aspect of what he has to be able to do. You know what I'm saying? That's just one aspect. Like he's got to be able, in my opinion, he has to be able to do that. He has to be able to wrestle just enough so to keep Bilal's from shooting in deep on an initial shot.
Yeah.
He's got to be able to also threaten some strikes along the way to make Bilal hesitate or shoot from too far. Like all those things will matter and will help the other one work a little bit better
Yes.
if you can be successful at making one of them work.
Yep. I like it, Dean. What's your pick?
Belal Muhammad by decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
By decision.
no matter what, I still think it's what we may be looking at, and I think they even train together. We may be looking at another situation of Steve Urseg here, just a guy who just and it wasn't his fault, no fault of his own, but just bit off a bit too much at the time. Just bit off a little more than he can chew. Like Steve Urseg got that title shot, and man, it would have been great for him. But what we saw, like when we saw him in other fights, we said, you know what, man, maybe he wasn't ready. He overperformed, but he wasn't really ready to be world champion. And I think that's what we're going to see with Jack is that a guy who's great, who stepped up to the challenge. We love him for it, but just at this point in his career right now is not world championship material. And with that said, he might even win, but it won't. But it won't last long
Mm.
because I just don't know if he's world championship material based on his skill set. He just is not there yet.
Before I let you go, I have to make one more point because you saying that just made me think of something. I feel like Bilal Muhammad would not be who he is if he had not been forced to do all that extra work.
That's that's
He
part
wouldn't
of
have
it.
been ready either.
He's no,
And
no one really is.
it's what's crazy about Bilal's last performance is that he got so much better fighting Leon Edwards. And I'm not talking about better now that he's a champ that we always talk about, like 33% better, whatever. I'm talking about like to watch a guy go out and make himself that much better in hopes of getting a championship and then go out there and be that much better that far into his career is insane. And it's so incredibly admirable. And yeah, I just had to say that before you go.
So Alex Pereira might be the only fighter that has been able to kind of get shortcuts and prove that he's at that level. But again, I think that's also still based on division and which you can get away with certain divisions. In a division like welterweight where you have to be more well-rounded because the game plays in so many different ways,
Yeah.
you can't just be a good striker and get away with that. You got to be a little bit more well-rounded. And everybody who's like, when you look at all the great champions and their road to get where they were, they had these roads and they fought like certain guys at the certain time and had fought all these different styles to get to where they were. And then when the moment came for them to be champion, they were ready. They needed it. They were ready. And I just don't think Jack has had that yet.
Hmm.
So, but we'll see, man. Maybe he'll
We
prove
will
us wrong.
see.
And this is not a. I'm not wishing ill on him. I'm
Oh no,
just
I know
saying
you're
I
not.
just
I
don't
know
know
you're
if
not.
it's if he's had enough of the hard work in the process to get to be a world champion.
And the good news is that regardless of what happens uh, at UFC 315, he will get that work.
Yeah, he'll get to work.
He'll get the work.
He'll
And
get to work, and then he
he
can come
already has
back, right?
amazing.
He'll get to work and
Exactly.
come back.
Exactly.
He'll know
Exactly.
what it feels like, and then he can come back.
Yep. Listen, Dean, it's going to be a phenomenal scrap. Either way, I'm very, very excited to see how these two match up, how it actually plays out. Guys, fans, we want to hear from you. We want to see your faces. We want to learn your names. We want to speak with you. So please send us your thoughts on UFC 316 to oneononecombatsports@gmail.com. 30-second video, minute-long video, whatever you want. Thoughts, questions, your own analysis. Honestly, whatever you want to put out there. Dean and I love hearing from you guys, and we love seeing your faces. So please send your videos to oneononecombatsports@gmail.com, and we will put you in the next video. Dean, thank you for your time. Thank you for zooming in from some unknown house, some unknown location somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, shout out Matt and Kelsey Klein in Blandon, Pennsylvania. That's where I'm at right now.
And you'll be somewhere else next time. I love it. I love
Somewhere
it.
else next time.
I appreciate your time, Dean. Guys, keep it locked in right here. Lots of other videos on this channel to enjoy, and we'll see you there.